most important piece of advice I can give people who are looking for a job: pay attention to what documents your employer gives you when you're hired.
Do you know if your employer is a non-subscriber, and what does that mean if you're injured while on the job? Well, that's what we're going to ask the lawyer on today's episode. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and my guest is attorney Raymond Hatcher with the Sloan Law Firm in Longview, Texas. Ray, thank you for making some time to answer our questions today.
My pleasure.
So let's start off, with a little definition. What does it mean when an employer is a non-subscriber, specifically in the state of Texas?
Well, Texas is unique in that it's the only state that allows private employers to opt out of workers' compensation insurance. And they use the term subscriber or non-subscriber, subscriber being a company that has purchased workers' compensation insurance to protect its employees, non-subscribers being companies that choose to opt out of the workers' compensation system.
Why do you think the state of Texas lets employers do that? I'm a little surprised to find out it's the only state that does it. Why do they do that?
Well, there have been other states that tried to do it. Oklahoma tried to follow Texas's lead, but unfortunately, the Oklahoma Supreme Court put a stop to that. And with some very limited exceptions, even Oklahoma requires that all employers be workers' comp subscribers. Now, the question that you ask is, why would Texas do that? That was done back when Texas was overhauling the workers' compensation system, and there was a huge push to theoretically reduce expenses for employers, because they were claiming that workers' compensation insurance was just too expensive. So they made a variety of changes to the workers' compensation system itself that reduced benefits and other things, but they also allowed private employers to opt out of the workers' comp system in order for them to save money. And it's surprising the number of companies that have done that, and large, well-known companies, people like Kroger and H-E-B and Albertsons and other grocery store companies have done that, as well as almost all hospital chains are non-subscribers.
And in your opinion, is this a good thing for workers or a bad thing for workers?
Well, that is a complex question, and the answer is, like many things in the law, it depends. So if your employer is a workers' comp subscriber, in other words, they supply their employees with workers' compensation insurance, you can be assured that you're going to get some benefits if you're injured on the job, or heaven forbid that you get killed, your family will get some benefits. Those benefits are kind of limited in that theoretically they pay for medical expenses and they pay a certain percentage of lost income. So when I say theoretically they pay for medical expenses, because the Texas Supreme Court has done away with bad faith, these insurance companies can basically deny coverage, and there's really not a lot that the employee can do unless they hire themselves a workers' compensation lawyer. The downside to that is that lawyer may get you your workers' comp benefits, but they are paid by taking part of your benefits to pay them. So I say theoretically, if you have workers' comp, that's probably a good thing because you get guaranteed benefits. On the flip side of that, you've got these non-subscribers, and a good thing about a non-subscriber is that you can actually sue them for their negligence, where if the employer is a workers' comp subscriber, you cannot sue them. It allows you to seek remedies other than just the straight workers' comp benefits. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other hurdles that might prevent you from receiving benefits from a non-subscriber.
How would an employee know if their employer is a subscriber or non-subscriber before they're injured? Is that something that it's posted somewhere? Do they have to tell them? How's that work?
Okay, so yes, they do have to tell you whether they're a subscriber or non-subscriber. The most important thing, most important piece of advice I can give people who are looking for a job: pay attention to what documents your employer gives you when you're hired. So they're going to give you documents that tell you whether they're a workers' comp subscriber or they're a non-subscriber. In addition to that, by law, they have to post that information in some conspicuous place in the workplace. So, for example, many times this is posted in the break room or the kitchen or something like that. And in addition, they will oftentimes provide you notice on a periodic basis of whether they're non-subscribers or they're workers' comp subscribers.
So if someone is injured on the job and their employer is a non-subscriber, what's the process, Ray? What should they do? Take us a little through some of those steps.
Well, this is going to sound like a lawyer thing to say, but the first thing they need to do is hire a lawyer. That process of dealing with a non-subscriber employer, if you've been hurt or been killed, your family dealing with them, is far too complex for a lay person to deal with. There are non-subscribers who have alternative insurance policies. They're not workers' comp, but they've got insurance policies. That's one issue, and that needs to be dealt with. And then you've got workers' comp, non-subscribers to workers' comp who have what are called ERISA, ERISA. That stands for Employee Income Retirement Security Act. That's a federal law. They have ERISA plans, and these are often in the documents that the employee is provided. They're often called injury benefit plans or welfare plans. Those are governed by federal law, and they usually limit the amount of benefits that you receive, and they limit the time that you can receive it. But more importantly, they're very, very strict as far as what procedures need to be followed and what deadlines need to be met if you're going to dispute any of their decisions. And they likely, well, almost always, they contain an arbitration provision that's going to take you out of the courts and put you in a private situation where you've got a retired judge or maybe just some lawyer or maybe a panel of lawyers or judges that are making decisions about your rights, and those are generally not reviewable by courts. So it's complex, and you're definitely going to need a lawyer to get through it.
And I assume there's time constraints as well, certain deadlines by when things need to.
Well, if you're injured or killed at work, of course, there are statutes of limitations. Texas law generally gives you 2 years from the date of the injury or death to pursue your claims. Those ERISA plans that I was referring to, they have shortened deadlines in them. For example, if you were hurt at work and you went and got medical care, in addition to limiting who you can get medical care from, those plans typically contain very short deadlines for you to challenge their decisions about your medical care. Generally, you've got either 90 or 180 days to file an appeal, and that's an internal administrative appeal. And then you've got another deadline after that, if they deny that appeal, to file your action to have that reviewed by either federal court or many cases it's going to be an arbitration.
Sounds like you need to have somebody who's well versed in all this, right?
There are volumes and volumes and volumes of treatises written on ERISA law.
Thank you so much for helping out. You've answered a lot of our questions. Obviously leads to more questions, and that's why somebody needs to contact someone like you. Thank you so much for all your answers today.
All right, my pleasure. Good to talk to you.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Ray Hatcher of Texas. If you want the best information or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, make sure to go to askthelawyer.com. Also, please take a sec to like, share, and subscribe by clicking on the button at the bottom of the screen. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.